Hey guys, it's Lukian, and today I am going to be tier ranking every single book series that I have ever read. So this was a trend on BookTube like a year ago, maybe a little bit less or more than that, but I've always really wanted to do this video, but then I never really got around to it, and by the time I would get around to it, I had read a bunch more series, and so I'd have to start all over again, and make a new list, all that sort of stuff. But now I've finally found the time to do it, a year later than everyone else, but it's fine. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure how many series I have on this list, but it is like almost every single series that I've ever read. I'm sure that there are series where maybe I've only read the first book and I totally forgot about them, or like I don't really plan on continuing, so I don't like have really much of an opinion on it, or there are book series that I read so long ago when I was a kid that I don't remember anything, and I wouldn't be able to give like a valid, actual like good like opinion on it, or I wouldn't have anything to say, stuff like that. But for the most part, this is a pretty indicative list of every single book series that I have ever read. So I moved the camera a little bit just so that I can see my computer where the tier ranking list is, but I have a lot of books, so let's just get to the video. So I'm going to start off by just kind of like explaining the tiers. So on the top we have God tier. Pretty self-explanatory. These are the series that I think are just the absolute best. They're the ones that are going to stick with me for like my entire life, and that I will reread for the rest of my life. Then we have Superior / Demigod. This is like one step below God, where there's still series that I absolutely love and that I will think about for so many years, but I don't see myself maybe being in love with them for my entire life, if that makes any sense. Like, God is just like unequivocally my absolute favorite series. Demigod is still like my favorite series, but there's maybe one or two things about them where I'm not like, head over heels in love with them. Then we have Great, which again, I think is pretty self-explanatory. These are the series that I think are great. So anything from Great and above, they are book series where I've given at least one of the books 5 out of 5 stars, and so yeah, that's what Great is. Really Good is I really enjoyed the majority of the books and like gave almost all of them 4 out of 5 stars. Good is still really enjoyed them, okay, just fine. And then Bad and Trash, I think, are pretty self-explanatory. So first up we have The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken, which I'm going to put in good. I did really like this series. If we're talking about just the first 3 books, so The Darkest Minds, Never Fading in the Afterlight, I did really enjoy this series. I did not like the spin-off book that came out, The Darkest Legacy, but if we're going off just the original trilogy, I did really like this series, but it's one of those series where I enjoy it a lot when I'm reading them, but once I'm out of the books and out of that world, I just really don't think about them a lot. So yeah, definitely enjoyed them, but I just they don't really stick in my mind that much. Then we have The Archived by Victoria Schwab. I love Victoria Schwab, I love her books. But I think The Archived I'm going to put in just fine. It's been so long since I read this series. I read them like over 3 years ago. And I liked The Archived, and I thought The Unbound was not really that good. So I think just fine is good, especially since I barely remember anything that happened in the series. So that's where I'm going to put it. It's definitely her weakest series. I think I'm also going to put The Wrath and the Dawn in just fine, because I read the first book in April, and I definitely enjoyed it while I read it, but I think it was pretty mediocre. I don't think it was anything that amazing, and I think it was kind of just like a fine YA series. I don't have any ill feelings towards it, but I think, like, judging off some of the books that I have in here that I already know I'm probably going to end up putting in okay, I don't think it's as good as those. Then we have Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, so the Dark Artifices series. I'm going to put this in really good. I really liked the Dark Artifices series, and I think it's probably, I definitely like it more than the Mortal Instruments, but I don't think it's as good as the Infernal Devices or the Last Hours, so I think really good is, a good spot for it. I read all 3 books in the series really fast. I read them in like a week during the summer, and those books are big. Like, you can see them over there. They are thick, so yeah, I was definitely very addicted to the series, but I think I didn't really connect with the characters that much, and I also think that the ending was a bit anticlimactic. So I do think that it was really good, and I gave all the books in the series 4 out of 5 stars, but I don't think it's like great or anything like that. Next we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, which I kind of want to put this in okay. I definitely enjoyed this series overall, but I really don't think about it often, and I don't really have much of an inclination to reread the series. I did enjoy The Cruel Prince, and I liked The Wicked King, and I liked The Queen of Nothing. I did not like the short story collection that came out, but if we're just going based off of like the Cruel Prince series, so those first 3 books, I do think the series is just okay. Like, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as The Darkest Minds, but I do think it was a pretty solid YA series, and I do think it is better than like The Archived and The Wrath and the Dawn. Then we have Passenger by Alexandra Bracken, which I'm going to put in really good. I do think it is on par with the Dark Artifices series, and I do like it more than The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. I am a history nerd, I love historical fiction, and this is a time travel series, and it is a tried and true time travel series. It is my #1 pet peeve in time travel books where they go to like 3 locations. Alexandra Bracken really did her research, and she really came through with her time travel. Like, we went to so many different locations. We went to 6 out of the 7 continents, so many different time periods. She really did a good job with that series, and I do think about it a lot from time to time. Then we have Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, which, if you know me, this is just an instant god tier series for me. I absolutely love this series. I will reread it till the end of time. I just love these books so much. They are like so me. I love this series so much, and I will never stop talking about it. Then we have Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody, so the Shadow Game series, which I'm gonna put in good. I liked this series a lot. I definitely enjoyed the first 2 books a lot more than the 3rd book. The 3rd book was pretty disappointing to me, so that's why it's not like really good or great. I think if book 3 had been as good as Ace of Shades and King of Fools, I would have put this in really good or great, but since it was kind of a letdown, I do think it is just good, and I do think it is pretty equivalent in my head to The Darkest Minds. Then we have We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal, which is the first book in the Sansevieria duology, which I'm going to put in okay. I kind of see this in the same way that I see The Cruel Prince, where I do think it was good, and I do plan on finishing the series. It's only a duology, so I only have 1 more book left to read. But I read this in April, and since then I have had not really a big inclination to finish the series, so I think that's a pretty good indicator as to, like, this is just an okay series for me. And I did really like the first book, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I was hoping to, and I barely remember any of the characters. I think I only remember the 2 main characters and like 1 of the side characters, and that's really it. And I really love quest books and like treasure hunt books, but I don't think this is like one that was like that good or that really lived up to my expectations. Then we have Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis, which I'm gonna put in bad. I did not like this book, and I honestly had pretty high expectations for it. I thought it would be like similar to the Caraval series by Stephanie Garber, which I really, really love. But it really just wasn't. It was kind of just pretty bland, and I only remember the main character's name, and that's it. And I don't think it was like exceptionally written or anything. I don't think the world building was that good, and I don't think the plot was intriguing enough to capture my attention. So that's why it's in bad. I'm honestly going to put Red Queen in bad as well. I do think it is like just fine, but compared to the books that I have in there, I don't think it is as good as them. I do kind of want to finish the Red Queen series just to see if my opinion on it changes. I really doubt it will, but I still enjoyed it. I mean, I actually didn't really enjoy it. I don't know why I said that. It's bad. So we're going to leave it in bad tier. Then we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab, which I'm going to put in really good. I really liked Vicious, and I definitely enjoyed Vengeful, and I am super excited for the 3rd book to come out. Actually, I'm going to put this in good, because I do think it is good. I don't think it's as good as The Dark Artifices or Passenger, though. Then we have A Deadly Education, which I just recently read in October, which I'm going to put in just fine. I do think the first book was just fine. I don't think it was anything really spectacular, so I think it's good there. Truthwitch by Susan Dennard, which is the Witchland series. I'm going to put this in good, because I definitely enjoyed the first 2 books, Truthwitch and Windwitch, but ever since then, the books have been kind of getting progressively worse. I thought Bloodwitch was good, but it wasn't as good as the first 2 installments. I did not like the novella Sight Witch, and I did not really enjoy Witch Shadow. I think this series is just getting way too complicated, and in the beginning, it was a really interesting YA fantasy series, but I think as the books have gone on and as time has gone on, I don't think I feel as passionately about the series anymore. Then we have The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez, which is a companion series, and I'm going to put this in okay. I liked The Friend Zone. I thought the Happy Ever After playlist was okay, and I did not really like Life's Too Short at all, really, so it's going to go in there. Read Our Crowns by Kendara Blake. I feel similarly towards this as I do The Darkest Minds, so I think I'm going to put it in good. I really enjoy the books when I'm reading them, but once I come out of them, I barely think about them ever again. So that's why it's going in good. Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer. I'm going to put this in okay. I've only read the first book. The first book is the only one that's out, but I actually read this pretty recently, and I honestly was not the biggest fan of it. Like, I thought it was okay. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with it, but I think I feel similarly towards this as I do with We Hunt the Flame. If anything, I think this is probably between okay and just fine. Like, I kind of see this similarly as I do with The Wrath and the Dawn, even, so. Next we have City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab, which I'm going to put in good. I really like this series. I think it's a fun middle grade series, and again, I really like the books when I'm reading them, but I rarely think about them once I'm not reading them. I think with those, I'm just going to put them all in good, because I do really genuinely like this series, and I do kind of want to put it in okay, but I know if I were to, like, read one of the books right now, I'd be pretty hooked and I wouldn't be able to stop reading. Okay, then we have My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Proteastion, and Jody Meadows, which I'm going to put in just fine. I really wanted to love this series. It's a historical fiction novel. Well, the first book is a historical fiction book that follows Lady Jane Grey, and the second one is a retelling of Jane Eyre. I really wanted to like these books, but they were honestly just so incredibly boring to me, and I actually had to, like, force myself to read them. So, I think that's why they're going in just fine. Then we have Before She Ignites by Jody Meadows, which I'm going to put in good. I really like the series. I think it's super underrated. But again, I think I enjoy the books more when I'm actually reading them, and I don't think about them too often once I'm not reading them. Then we have The Savage Song, which I'm going to put in good. I really liked this series when I read it. I don't remember a ton from it, and it was a super, like, addicting series. If you need a series to get you out of a reading slump, definitely read the Monsters of Verity duology. But I think, I don't know, I don't really feel too strongly about them, but I do think that, similarly with City of Ghosts, if I were to pick one up, I would not be able to stop reading. Next we have Throne of Glass, which I'm going to put in great. I really love the Throne of Glass series, and I have given some of the books in that series 5 out of 5 stars. I think it is genuinely really well written, and you can tell that Sarah J. Maas put in a lot of time and care into crafting that series, because she's been thinking, I think she wrote the first book when she was like 16, and she has been working on the series ever since. So I really enjoyed that series, and Tower of Dawn and Kingdom of Ash, I still think about some of the aspects of those books, so I really loved them. And I did really like Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight as well. Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, and Empire of Storms were pretty but I think as a whole, this series is really great. Then we have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, which I'm going to put in bad. I thought the first book was okay, and I did not like the second book, so I think that is a good spot for that. The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, I'm going to put in good. I really liked the first book. I thought it was super addicting, and I loved all the puzzles in it, and it was really enjoyable for me. I think the second book was a bit of a letdown, but I think the third book could redeem it, and I do think it is better than just okay, because I think it is really well crafted. Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, I want to put this in okay. I think that the TV show is influencing my opinion a little bit, because I loved the TV show, but I think that this series as a whole is not really that amazing. I think it's kind of just a pretty generic YA fantasy series, and I love Leigh Bardugo, but I do think that this is, like, her weakest series, probably. Next we have Caraval by Stephanie Garber, which I actually just reread, and I think this series is great. I really, really like these books. I did not give any of them 5 out of 5 stars, so I might move it down to really good, but I think it's just because I just reread the series. I really like these books, and I know they get a lot of hate, but I really, really enjoy them. A Tale of Magic by Chris Colfer, I'm going to put in just... actually, I'm going to put in okay. I do really like the series as a whole. I really enjoyed the first book. did not like the second book, but I did enjoy the third. So I think that is good in okay. Furyborn by Clare Legrand, so the Imperium trilogy, I'm going to put in good. I really liked, or I was okay about Furyborn, but I really enjoyed it. Kingsbane, which is the sequel. I still have not read Lightbringer, which is the finale, but I will do so at some point. Then we have the Last Hours series by Cassandra Clare, which is just an instant superior / demigod. I would put it in God, but we have not gotten the last book in the series, and I feel like I want to reserve God for the series where all the books are out and I gave all of them 5 out of 5 stars. I do have faith in Cassandra Clare. I know she's going to pull through with Chain of Thorns, but I think until we have that, I can't really, in good conscience, put it in God. I do think it is absolutely amazing though, and at the moment it is my favorite Shadowhunter series. I think I'm also going to put Shatter Me in superior / demigod. I'm actually getting ready to reread the series right now because the new novella is coming out. But I do think, again, all the books are out. I'm not giving them all 5 out of 5 stars. Defy Me was not good. I mean, it was okay, but it just wasn't that good. So I think if I loved Defy Me as much as the rest of the series, I'd put this in God. But I think for now, it is superior in demigod, and I do still really love the series, and I have amazing memories of reading them and like anticipating each book, but I don't think it's like on the same level as Truly Devious. Then we have The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. I really wanted to love this series, but I think it's just fine. I thought The Last Magician was okay, and I liked The Devil's Thief, but I don't think it was that great, so that's why I'm going to put it in just fine. I really don't have many feelings towards this. Same with the next one, which is the Wayward Children series. I'm going to put that in just fine. There are some books in the series that I do really like, but I think since In an Absent Dream, the series has just gone downhill a lot, and I do still read the books, and I will still read the books, but I think they're just not good. Like, I don't think they're as good as they were in the beginning. Skyhunter by Marie Lu, I'm going to put this in good. I really, really enjoyed Skyhunter. I thought Steel Striker, the sequel, was good, but I didn't like it as much. I thought the themes of Steel Striker were really, really great, but I think as a story, it was not that impressive for me, and I don't think it was as good as Skyhunter. So if Steel Striker had been on the same level as Skyhunter, I would put this in really good, but I think since it wasn't, I'm going to leave this in good. Then we have the Shades of Magic series by Victoria Schwab, which I'm going to put in really good. I really liked Dark Shade of Magic. I was about A Gathering of Shadows, but I loved A Conjuring of Light, so really good is where it's at. Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, I'm going to put in just fine. I know this is kind of an unpopular opinion, but I was not the biggest fan of Carry On, and I thought Wayward Son was just okay, and I honestly don't even really plan on finishing this series. I do plan on doing a video of reading the Goodreads Choice Award finalists, so if the third book is on that list, then I will read it. But otherwise, I really don't have any plans to finish this series. Then the next book we have is Death on Windmill Way, which I'm going to put in bad. I do think it is just fine, but it's not as good as the rest of the books in the just fine tier. And I think that it's just not that great. The only reason I really read this series is because it's set in East Hampton, and I have good memories of that. Then we have Realmbreaker by Victoria Aveyard, which I'm going to put in good. I think it is a good series, and I do really like it, but it's just, I think it's good. Like, I think from the first book, it did have me pretty engrossed, and I am really excited for the rest of the books. Then we have This Woven Kingdom by Tahereh Mafi, which I was lucky enough to get an arc of, and I absolutely loved this book. So I'm going to put it in great. Again, I don't think it can go any higher than that because this is only the first book, but I do think it's really great, and I think it's going to be an amazing series. Then we have Furthermore, which I'm going to put in good. I really like Furthermore. Or I'm going to put this in really good. I really like Furthermore. I think it's a great middle grade series. It's one of my favorite middle grade series, and I would honestly reread it. Like, I've already read this series twice, but I would reread it again. I think it's really amazing, and it's just so fun. Then we have Crazy Rich Asians, which I'm going to put in just fine. I think the movie has colored my opinion because I love the movie, but the books were honestly just not that good. Like, in retrospect, when I think about them, they were really boring, so that's why they're in just fine. On the other hand, the Infernal Devices, which is the next one, is going in great. I love the Infernal Devices. I think it is probably the second best Shadowhunter series, and I do plan on rereading all the Shadowhunter Chronicles next year in preparation for Chain of Thorns, which is coming out in November. So I'm really excited to reread the series and see if my opinion changes at all, but I really, really love the Infernal Devices. Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco, I'm going to put in just fine. I did not really like the first book. I did like Hunting Prince Dracula. I thought it was pretty intriguing, but I did not like Escaping from Houdini. So I think it's in just fine. I don't even know if I'm going to finish the series, so. The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh, I'm going to put in good. If we were going off of just the first book, I would even put this in really good. I love the first book in this series. I think it's one of the, I think it's an amazing series starter. The Damned took a turn where I just wasn't the biggest fan of it anymore, and then The Righteous, I did still really enjoy The Damned and The Righteous, but I don't think that they're as good as The Beautiful, and I am excited for The Ruined, which is the fourth book in the series, and I've heard that Renee Ahdieh has said that the series will kind of return to its roots in the finale, so I am definitely excited for that, and I hope that the series will get better with the finale, but I think it's just good. I do think it is good. Then we have Tidelands by Philippa Gregory, which I'm going to put in okay. I read this recently, and I did genuinely really enjoy it, and I am going to continue on with the series, but I don't think it's, exceptional or anything. I think the writing was beautiful. I love Philippa Gregory's writing, but I do think that the characters and the plot were, not that amazing, so that's why it's in there. The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, I'm going to put in really good. I really like all the books in this series. I think I don't really have any ill feelings towards any of the books in the series. I think it was all pretty consistent, and I really liked them. And I think the amount of craft that went into that series, and, the level of difficulty that, I could not imagine writing that series, because each book you get, 2 new main characters. By winter, there are, 10 main characters, and she had to interweave all the different fairy tales, and it was just, I was really impressed by that series, so I put in the really good category. The Bells by Neil Clayton, I'm going to put in good. I have really fond memories of reading The Bells, because I read it during Thanksgiving, and so I just have a lot of memories of reading it, and I did really, really enjoy it, and I did like The Everlasting Rose as well, and I really hope that we get a third book, but, I guess we'll see. Then we have the Shades of London series by Maureen Johnson, which I'm going to put in okay. I liked the first 2 books in the series, but again, I haven't continued on. And I do think it's solid, but it's nowhere near truly devious or anything like that. So I think it is good and okay, and I do see it in the same light as those other series. Then we have Wilderlore by Amanda Foody. I've only read the first book because it's the only one that's out, but I think this is good. It's a really good middle grade series. I was so pleasantly surprised by this book, and I just really, really enjoyed it. I was honestly kind of shook by it. It was really good, so yeah, it's going in good. The Eldest Curses by Cassandra Clare and Leslie Chu. If we're going off of just the Red Scrolls of Magic, I'd probably put this in good. I really liked the Red Scrolls of Magic. I thought it was a really fun book, and it was just really fun, and I really liked it. But The Lost Book of the White is currently my least favorite book of 2021, so I think it's just going to go in okay. I am going to read the third book, but oh man, The Lost Book of the White was just not good, and I was not a fan. Then we have another Shadowhunter series, which is The Mortal Instruments, which I'm going to put in good, because I do like the Mortal Instruments series. I think City of Glass and City of Heavenly Fire are two of the really good Shadowhunter books. And I do really like City of Bones as well, but there looks like City of Ashes, City of Lost Souls, not really a big fan of, and City of Fallen Angels I think is just generally, the general consensus is it's not a really great Shadowhunter book. So I think The Mortal Instruments was a little bit, uneven, but I do think it was good. Then we have The Thousandth Floor by Catherine McGee. I kind of want to just put this in bad because it's, so trashy. And, honestly, I kind of want to put it in trash because it is really trashy. But But I honestly don't think that the series is bad. I think it is just a really fun, like, soapy series, but I think, objectively, it's not good. Then we have the Guinevere Deception, so the Camelot Rising series by Kiersten White, which I'm going to put in good. If we're going off of the Guinevere Deception and the Camelot Betrayal, I put this in really good. But I recently read an arc of the third book, The Excalibur Curse, and I don't think it was as good as the first two books, so that's why it's in good. Arusha and the Arusha series, I'm going to put in great. It's one of my absolute favorite middle grade series, and I really, really love it. And I think I think Arusha and the End of Time and Arusha and the City of Gold are good. They're not great, but I do love Arusha and the Song of Death and Arusha and the Tree of Wishes. And I am really excited for the finale. Then we have The White Queen by Philippa Gregory, which is the Cousins War series. This is technically the second book, but it's not like a sequel or anything. The first book in the series is technically The Lady of the Rivers, which is a prequel to this. But, yeah, so also I view this series as the Cousins War and then her Tudor books separately. So this is not all 15 of her Plantagenet and Tudor books. I'm looking at this as just her Cousins War series. I enjoyed The White Queen, but it wasn't my favorite. I thought it was so confusing, and I honestly need to read a recap of it before I go into the next books. But I do plan on finishing the series, so I'm going to put it in okay. Then we have the first childhood series on this list, which is the Chronicles of Narnia. This is just an instant great tier series for me. I absolutely love the Chronicles of Narnia, and I am going to reread it this December just because it's been so long. I remember I read these books in 5th grade, so it's been so long, but I do love the series. Then we have Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, which I'm going to put in good. Actually, I'm going to put it in okay, just because we haven't gotten the rest of the series yet, and I think depending on how I feel about the sequel, that could change my ranking of it, but I think I just can't really put it in good because I did like it, but it was honestly kind of disappointing. I did not meet any of my expectations, so that's why it's going in okay. Circle of Shadows by Evelyn Skye, I'm going to put in bad. I did not like this book really at all, and I think I give it 3 stars. It's definitely 2 stars, upon reflection. I did not like this book. Then we have The Devouring Grey by Christine Lynn Herman, which I'm going to put in okay. I enjoyed the first book when I read it. I don't remember anything from it, though, and I don't even know if I will ever finish the series, so that's why it's going in okay. I'm honestly going to put A Court of Thorns and Roses in okay as well. I was never really a big fan of this series. I think it's probably my least favorite of Sarah J. Maas's 3 series. I just think it's pretty weak. I feel like this series has always been a side thing for Sarah J. Maas. I don't think she puts in as much time and effort as she does with Throne of Glass or Crescent City. So I think it's just okay, especially since I did not like A Court of Silver Flames. The Young Elites by Marie Lu, I'm going to put in really good because, or is this great? I think it's really good because I felt pretty about the Young Elites. I really liked the Rose Society and I loved the Midnight Star, so I think it's really good. A Game of Thrones by George R. R. Martin, please don't kill me. I'm putting this in okay. I thought the book was just okay. I don't really have any feelings towards it. Will I continue on with the series? Yes, probably, but it was kind of just okay to me. Then we have Anti-Darken by Kiersten White, which I'm going to put in great. I really like this series. Ooh, actually, I'm putting The Young Elites in great. I don't care. Anti-Darken, I'm putting in great because I love this series. I think it's really, really good. It's one of the most sophisticated YA series out there, and I love all of the books, so it's going in great. Scythe by Neil Shusterman is in okay. Actually, it's just fine. I did not really like this series. I honestly kind of want to reread it because I feel like I missed something when I read it, but I kind of always say that when I don't really like a series that everyone loves, so it's going in just fine. Same with the next one, which is Flame in the Mist by Renee Optia. I've only read the first book, and it was so long ago I don't remember anything that happened in it, and I don't know if I'll ever continue. I'm honestly going to put the Hazelwood in just fine as well. I liked this first book, didn't like the second, and I thought the short story collection was okay. A Curse of Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer, I'm going to put in good. I really liked A Curse of Dark and Lonely and A Heart So Fierce and Broken, but I haven't finished the series yet. I do plan on doing so that might bring it up to really good, we'll see. But, I don't know, it was kind of just good. Then we have Harry Potter, which I know we have our feelings on J.K. Rowling. I view Harry Potter as its own thing. I don't even think about J.K. Rowling anymore when I think about the series, because it just exists in a vacuum for me. So I'm going to put Harry Potter in great. I think it's a really great series. I do really want to read it this December because I just have really fond memories. I feel like I always read, like when I did read this series, I feel like I always read it around Christmas time. So I really want to reread it this year. And again, I do not support J.K. Rowling. I think she is, I think the things that she has said is just absolutely appalling. But I don't even view Harry Potter as, being something from her. It's totally separate, for me. So, yeah, I think Harry Potter as a series is really great, and I am excited to reread it next month. Then we have Renegades by Marissa Meyer, which, finally, we have another God tier series. I'm putting this in God tier. I love Renegades so much. Every time I think about Renegades, I feel my heart warm. It's just so good. It is literally so good. All the books in the series are fantastic, and it's a God tier series for me. Chosen Ones by Veronica Roth, I'm putting in okay. I liked this first book. It wasn't my favorite, but I do think it was genuinely pretty good. So, we're putting it in okay. And again, we need the rest of the series to actually judge it. The Starfish Queen by Roshni Chokshi, I'm putting in just fine. I thought the first book was okay. I liked the second book a little bit more, but I did not like the short stories, so just fine is where it's at. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, I'm putting in trash tier. I really did not like the series. I read the first two books, and I gave both of them 2 stars. I did not like them. Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, I'm gonna put in... I'm gonna put this in good just because we haven't gotten the rest of the books yet, and once we do, I think my opinion could change on it, and I'm really excited for the sequel, which comes out next year, but, yeah, I do think it was really, really good. Honestly, I might have to reread it before I get to the next one, unless, I can find a really good recap somewhere, but I do think it was genuinely pretty good. Then we have The Land of Stories, which is just an instant great tier series for me. I feel like I'm putting all the childhood classics in great, because I love The Land of Stories, and I have not read it since because I have this fear that I will not enjoy it as much, but I do really, really love it, so we're gonna put that in great. The Diviners by Libba Bray. This one is interesting because I've read the first 3 books and I really, really loved them, but the 4th book came out and I have not even bought it. I had no real inclination to actually pick up the series. So, yeah, I don't know. I do genuinely want to reread these first 3 books because I don't remember a lot about them, and I do plan on reading the 4th book, so I'm going to put this in really good. Again, my opinion on it could totally change once I reread the books and finish it, and finish the series, so... we'll see. Then we have The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi, which, again, if you've been on my channel for 25 seconds, you know it's God tier. I have no words. I love that series. I have, probably 2 hours worth of, me talking, actually, probably 5 hours worth of me talking about the series on my channel. It's so good. Then we have Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. I really just want to put this in really good, because I feel like I want to project, because I loved this first book so much, but I thought the second book was so boring. Tomi Adeyemi better come through with book 3, and I really just want to put it in really good for, wishful thinking. I'm projecting that the 3rd book will be as good as the first. Then we have King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, which I did give Rule of Wolves 5 out of 5 stars. So I'm going to put this in really good, because I do think it's really good, and I really like this series. And I honestly have pretty fond memories of reading it, so it's good. I think it's really good. Ooh, then we have An Ember in the Ashes, which, this is just instant God tier for me. I absolutely love An Ember in the Ashes. It's just one of the best YA series out there. Hands down. It's just, without question, one of the best YA series, and I gave all the books 5 out of 5 stars, like true 5 out of 5 stars. No question about it. I cannot wait to reread this series. On the flip side, we have Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. And as much as I enjoyed Caraval, this is going in bad. I did not like Once Upon a Broken Heart. You'll hear about it in my October wrap-up. It was not good. Then we have Prince Charming by Rachel Hawkins, so the Royals series. I really want to put this in really good. I think the series is... Oh, honestly, I almost want to put this in great. I'm not gonna, but it is really good. I love this series. I think it's so good. Like, if you need a YA contemporary series, read that series. I am not a fan of YA contemporary, but that series had me in a chokehold, so... Then we have Strange the Dreamer by Mimi Taylor, which I'm going to put in Demigod. I love this series so much. It's been so long since I read it. It's been like 3 years. But it's just so good. Like, I can't even argue. Like, it is so good. It's so good. Then we have Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahurin, which I'm going to put in okay. I don't remember, like, barely anything from this series. From this first book, and I do want to finish the series because I own the second book, and I just have not read it yet. But I think it's okay. Same with Girls of Paper and Fire. I think it's okay. I really just don't feel too much for it. Like, I think the second book brought the series down a lot for me, and I will read the third book. When, I don't know, but it was kind of just okay for me. Then we have 13 Little Blue Envelopes by Maureen Johnson. I'm gonna put this in just fine. I think it's just fine. It's like, it's a contemporary series. I liked it when I read it, but it's just fine, okay? And then we are ending on a great note. We have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, which is just an instant God tier series for me. No question about it. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and I have an entire dedicated reading vlog to that duology, so I think it's great. So there you have it. I have tier ranked all the book series that I've ever read. I have 5 in God tier and 3 in Demigod tier. I think that's really good. So, yeah, and I only have 2 in trash tier, and one of them is not even trash. Like, I think the couple that I have in bad tier are bad, like genuinely pretty bad, but like, honestly, I feel pretty good about this list, so, yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this really long video. I would love to know what your ranking of these series are. I will leave a link to the list and the tier list in the description box in case you want to rank these as well. I mean, I doubt anyone has read every single series that I have read, but you never know. So, yeah. Oh my god. I just realized, I just looked at my bookshelf. Warcross by Marie Lu is not on this list. Well, if Warcross by Marie Lu was on this list, I would put it in great, because I think that series is great. So let's just pretend, where my mouse is right now, let's pretend that's where Warcross should be. I cannot believe I forgot to put that series on there. Oh my god. Anyway, I honestly could have sworn that I put that series in there, but maybe I'm just going crazy, who knows. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Now I'm just like looking at my bookshelves terrified that I like forgot something else. I really hope I didn't. But anyway, regardless of that one mix up on my part, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. All my social media links are in the description box below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!